It's a real bummer when you're kind of succeeding publicly, but like you're just literally not happy in every season. There's a new challenge. Every level has new devils, has new problems, has new challenges. We thought church was going to be this in this season, and it's not. Someone has to be the leader of this thing if we're going to get through this.
Right.
I need to embrace even more being the spiritual father of my church and of my staff.
So City Light Church.
City Light, City Lit.
City lit. Most people in the city are lit.
A lot of lit people come to church, especially that 1 o'clock.
For those that don't know, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yes, sir.
Jabin Chavez, my friend. Excited for what God's doing. I feel fortunate that you and I connected the last few years, but I feel fortunate that our paths intersected because I kind of feel a part of the opening of the new building.
Totally.
And just I feel when I celebrate everything God's doing there.
No, I mean, I really appreciate you. I remember, I want to think it's the first time we met, but maybe we met in Louisiana at the hunt, but I feel like we met here because I came and toured the building to come get ideas.
I think that's right, yeah.
When we were building our building.
Uh-huh.
And so, I can't remember what year that was, but I mean, it was before we were done designing our building, so it was a while back.
And so you planted the church how long ago?
We planted the church 7 years ago.
Okay.
And then in May of 2025, we moved into our first permanent space. So before that, portable
all the way up until that point.
Yeah, middle schools, high schools.
Of course, people realize like the property and Las Vegas. I mean, it's quite an endeavor and actually a shorter timeline to have gotten a permanent building.
Yeah, no,
it's not a small feat. There.
It was a miracle. I mean, we bought an initial 5 acres for $3.2 million, and then during construction, the 5 acres next to us came available. And it was really a miracle on all the zoning city side of it, and even just financially, the fact that we were able to do it. We were able to buy another 5 acres for $5.6 million. So now we're on 10 acres and 1,000-seat auditorium.
And we were just saying it's exciting because this will be your first spring. You're coming into. We're here together because we have a couple of things happening.
Right.
2026 here, we kicked the year off, so you're here. We've been today together, and a lot of leaders coming in, getting encouraged through Lead to Win gathering, and then you're speaking tonight because our church has a 3-night prayer fasting special night. We're pumped about that, but I want to dig in a little bit to, you have a leadership podcast, and so I think. I want to dig in a little bit into things you've been thinking about. But when I think about you, I'm thinking about, youth pastor, then moving now to senior pastor. Going through your first, as a senior pastor, building project.
Right, yeah.
That's a leadership.
Barely made it. Barely, almost quit, joined your team. You want a milestone location in Vegas?
Oh, man. You joke about that, but how many pastors build the building? Literally, the building's built and then they quit before they get in the building.
Brutal.
It can be.
It was brutal. It was more brutal than I
expected,
and more brutal almost when it was done. It was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
What did I just do for 3 years? You know what I mean? It's like, you kind of wake up out of a
because you have your, you have your real job, then you have this, and it's very important to you because you want to serve the people and you want it to be right, and then when you're just taking ground for the kingdom,
the spiritual kind of side of it,
weight and all of that. Yeah. So I thought what have been some lessons? Okay, so let's go back right now, and I don't think because we have teachers and business leaders and college students and young people. We have people in all different realms listen to this. But what I find is there's a lot of parallels, right?
Totally.
So I'm really thinking, how do you know as a youth pastor God has an assignment for you? How do you navigate that? And then what have been the if you were to go back and talk to your younger self, and here's 3 or 4 things you would say to somebody, how can they learn off of you that you've learned with, if they're about to step into a new assignment, or maybe they feel like they should be in something new?
Right.
What would you say?
Well, yeah, I think I would start with, if you're feeling transition, I almost feel like step 1 is like, go try to like pray and repent it away. Like, is there anything? Because I was working for Jensen Franklin, who's my pastor. It was the dream job of, I was on the teaching team, worship, living in Newport Beach, California. I mean, you couldn't beat it. He's just the greatest. So on, quality of life, you name it. And then I'm feeling this thing to plant a church. So I would say for months, it was like prayer walk after fasting, after talking to my wife, going, what is that? Maybe let me try to get this out of me.
Right.
Because and then when you kind of can't pray it away, and you can't fast it away, but I think be patient. There's an old preacher who said, I'd rather be late in the will of God than early out of the will of God.
There you go.
So I think man, take your time. Because when I planted, we were 34. I felt so old. Now I'm 42 going, I was so young, man, I should have waited till after COVID. That would have been amazing, right? So I just think when you're a young leader, you feel, I got to go.
Right.
I don't have much time. You have so much time.
Right.
Learn, enjoy. And so we went through that process. Then we started talking with Pastor about, okay, what would this look like? And I never put the God card down and said, thus saith the Lord.
Right.
I said, I'm inviting you into this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Right.
And he literally went, I need more time. I need you here longer.
Right.
And that was so gracious of him. And I said, done.
Right.
I'm sticking around. And I literally said, I'm not going without your blessing.
That's beautiful.
We're in this together. So
it's beautiful on both fronts, right? Because now you're in that seat. But for him to say, hey, I need this, but I do see this. So he did affirm that, hey, I'm going to take some time. But I see this, which is really a beautiful thing.
And I definitely think there should be that, like in Acts when they're making decisions and the apostles go, this seems good to us and the Holy Spirit, right? They've been praying, they've been fasting, and they go, yeah. So I think there needs to be a witness with leadership, a witness with the Holy Spirit, a witness with your spouse, a witness with trusted friends who can really look at you and go, "No, man, you're crazy," or "No, we sense this as well." So, I look back on that season now, and I'm grateful for it. I just tell young leaders, don't be in a hurry. Number 2, invite wise counsel.
Right.
And by the way, now I'm 42, a senior pastor. I'm still inviting wise counsel. I'm still calling you. I'm still calling Jensen. I'm still calling Jacob Aranza. I'm still calling Pastor Steve. You know what I mean? I'm still hey, can you help me through this? So I didn't, I wasn't independent and isolated. I was connected, and now I am now. Right. And I would say genuinely, I'm not over-exaggerating. I'm going to talk about this a little bit tonight. I was talking to my best friend this week, and I said, bro, I just want to thank you. I said, I truly believe I'm in it right now, in the game right now, because of you. Yeah. And my point is, he so many times prayed for me, talked me off the ledge. So don't, if you're isolated as the youth guy, worship guy, evangelist guy, and you think it's you against the world, it's going to destroy. You're going to need people when you're senior pastoring. Right. Even more. Yeah. So I think I learned that lesson. It's one of the things I think I did well. Yeah. And invited Jensen into it super early, and have still invited him into our life and decision making.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you first start with, I'm going to pray this away, and I think what part of that is also that you're being fruitful where you're planted, right? Yeah. It typically, I'm not always saying, but it typically isn't God, as I say, you're running from something instead of running to something. It's kind of like, if I could get a different surroundings, this would be so much better. Yeah. I mean, this isn't for you. You're flourishing. I mean,
Yep.
you're actually probably getting more opportunities in terms of traveling and exposure. And Jensen had blessed that.
Yep.
So God's using you in terms of communicating.
Yeah.
Then you're submitting it, right? And then you're also like open-handed with the timing, right? So just because we see where we're going, you're open-handed there.
Right.
And then of course then God sends you into that assignment. What has been the biggest learning lesson that you've had stepping into 7 years, new assignment, new role, new weight?
Well, I would say that the first 2 years of the church, 2018 to 2020, we went from 0 to 1,000. And I believed wrongly that I could just preach and pray and I didn't have to be a leader. And you can.
Which we haven't prayed a lot together, but you know, if anyone could just preach their way out of it, you've got that gift, right?
But, you know,
so
I
assume you're probably a pretty good prayer.
But I thought I'm just going to pray. I'm going to be on the mountain. And COVID taught me, no, you actually have to be a leader.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the shift in 2020 that I had to go. My who I am at the core is prophetic prayer. Grew up in revival, charismatic chaos. I mean, you know, and it was really in 2020. I went, okay, someone has to be the leader of this thing if we're going to get through this.
Right.
And I had to kind of shift to being a leader. And I would say, I wish I would have done that 2 years earlier than that. I think we'd even be further ahead. So becoming a leader, and the way that I have kind of defined it in my own head for me, and it helps our team, is that a leader has a conviction that what they're doing is important. And I think that's so key for leaders. Like, what I'm doing is important in the earth, for the people, for my family, for my business, for my church. I am doing an important work. I'm on this wall, Nehemiah said, and I ain't coming down for you.
Yeah.
So you have to have that conviction. And whether it's the small tasks, the meetings, the whatever. But then it's the skill to invite people into that important work. So that's the second part. So it's conviction, it's heart, then it's skill, it's head. So I had to learn then the skill, becoming a vision caster, bringing people along, inviting people on the journey. And that was really, I had to become that starting in 2020.
Yeah.
And so, and it even changed how I preached. And people will tell me that now, like, man, I mean this in the best way. You're a different preacher now. And I think, because I had to learn how to talk different, walk different, think different, bring the team different. And so, but it was crisis through COVID that made me go, okay, I guess I'm it. And I guess I have to lead these people.
It's probably not, I mean, it's probably not a common transition in terms of like, because generally, if you're a good crowd, good preacher, like you may not ever end up in a scenario where you would maybe have the revelation to do it, or the crisis, or the pressure, or the pain enough to do it.
Yeah.
I will say, being a local church pastor,
Totally.
will push that, because I mean that's all I spoke at my first conference when I was in my late 40s, so like all I've ever done is, you know, be a pastor, build people, that kind of thing. So the podcast and some
That's
of this
crazy.
is new for me, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a new thing.
Well, and I think too, there's really great advice from when you're way down the road of like, you know, do what only you can do, and I think all that's great. Eventually. You're probably entering into that season. I'm not there yet. I'm not in the season of do what only I can do. I got to do everything. I'm still, you know, we're 7 years old. I'm 42.
Yeah.
We're still in kids and in youth and in worship and in social media posts. And we're still in all of it.
Yeah.
And so, and I think I earlier had embraced like, hey, I'm just going to do what I can do. I'm just going to preach. Only I can do that. And then you realize like, no, you actually have to get your hands in it. At least for a good season, you know? And so we kind of had to embrace that. And I just think, I think once you do and you realize that's important, man, God gives you grace for that.
What's been the hardest part? What's kind of like, as you started making that transition, okay, so, I mean, what's been the hardest leadership thing that you're like, I'm still trying to get a hold of this?
I think just in general, you have and I would say this is true for everybody in their own way, but you have your personality and you have your strengths.
Right.
But there is going to be a requirement to do things out of your personality, out of your strengths.
Yes.
And if you're a psycho like me, which what I mean by that is I'm an artist, I'm a worshiper. I was before we planted the church, I was going to bed at 4 a.m., waking up at 1 p.m. I was, you know what I mean? Like a totally different way of living.
Right.
I had to embrace a different way. And then, you plant your church and you say things like, and I still to this day go, hey, we're not for everybody.
Yeah.
There's plenty of great churches in town, until people leave your church, right? Because they didn't like how you responded to that tragedy, or they didn't like how you posted about that, or they didn't like.
Right.
And so all the things you say that are true. And when you're emotional, that hurts a lot more.
Right.
So you're really having to process. And I've been talking to our team a lot about this, and I think maybe this could help somebody. You want to be aware of the sheep, listening, smell like the sheep, right? But you never want to make decisions out of fear.
We're very true.
And I think, and I don't know the balance yet. I think that's why I'm trying to be around you and great men of God, because, we need more discipleship. Okay, yeah. And they say that, and you go, well, yeah, of course, we need more Holy Spirit. We need more.
Right. No.
And
you got to,
You want to.
Well, the challenge is we are sheep, right? And we need a great shepherd.
Yeah.
But we are also shepherds of the sheep.
Right.
So I think you're exactly right. I mean, a good shepherd actually, I've talked about this in my book, Win with People. When it talks about know the state of your flocks, it's like it really technically in the Hebrew means look into their face.
Wow.
So actually a good shepherd isn't necessarily responding to what the sheep is saying, so to speak, but they are able to read the indicators.
Yeah.
So I would think,
okay, I want to ask you about this before I forget. Because you're talking about pain points right now, pain points. So we basically went from 3,000 to 5,000 overnight with the building.
Right.
I think people, because we were portable, had expectations of what church was going to be like in the building.
Mm-hmm.
So the Pentecostals thought we were going to have more Holy Ghost services, and the discipleship people thought we were going to have more classes, and everybody had an idea.
Right.
And kind of had a grace for us based off of, well, we don't love this now, but they're going to get in that building and they're going to fill in the blank.
Right.
Well, we get in the building and we don't fix fill in the blank because we actually like the church that we built portably.
It just accentuated really what you were building, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we're actually in a season of, I don't know if disappointment's the right word.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can talk to us who've maybe gone through this, but like the unmet expectation of we thought church was going to be this in this season, and it's not. I feel like I'm facing that a lot right now, and that's what I mean by not making decisions out of fear.
Well, we're here to, and I spoke about my message was fast don't last today, right?
That. Yeah, it was amazing,
and I qualified it that God does suddenlies. For instance, very few people will ever lead something that we went from 3,000 to 5,000, and it's a move of God. And I know in that y'all are going to baptize people. People are getting saved, babies. There's certain people want to disdain that, but we know in the book of Acts, man, that there was these moments, 5,000 added, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But what I do think, and this would be, I think you have really one of two choices. Respond to the expectation, or even ignore the expectation, or act like the expectation doesn't exist. Or my My recommendation, the only winning strategy and the responsibility you have is clarity of vision. What I actually think is it's not a response to what they thought or they said. It's not about what we're against. It's not about defending what we are. It is about at every level of growth requires a greater level of clarity of vision.
Wow. Yeah.
So what's really happening is not an unmet expectation. It's you and your friends were around a table and it was like, here's who we are and here's what we're about and this is what we're doing and this is what it's done for me at every level is a greater demand. You say tomato, I say tomato.
Wow.
I believe that's probably one of my most challenging things amidst the noise of culture. So what I would say to you is in those moments, I call them galvanized moments. I've gone back and done a 7-week series on here's who we are, here's who we're not, here's, and I do also think your assimilation process, you end up getting, I think you start off, hey man, come on, and slowly more and more you're like, hey, I say in our step 1, hey, we're not hitching our wagon to you.
Yeah.
I say stuff like that.
Yep.
And I don't mean that mean, and I'm kind, and I tell jokes and stuff, but I have to be very clear. And you know what the saddest part of when you allow someone to hitch their wagon to you that they're not ultimately committed to the vision of where you're going, is it actually takes up time and energy for people who will actually want to be with you. And these people really, because it's going to culminate eventually at a moment, which is sometimes in these crazy moments and the soundbite moments what we really find out is church grew and there's a collection of people who don't really know who we are.
Right.
We haven't really changed. We was like woke up one day and said, well, let's do this.
Right.
It's just there was enough intensity around the moment to put them in touch with.
Right.
Oh, so they're.
Yeah. Oh, so he's a Republican, or he's a whatever, or he's
he's a whatever, right? Or he actually. So like when you announce we're building a building, why does that create a pressure moment? Well, there's people like, man, they're serious about this reach the loss thing, like millions of dollars serious.
Right.
Then there's people who go, well, I thought they were just hypothetically.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Well, like we're doing this big, beautiful kind of porch area.
Right.
It's almost like what you have, but without the glass surrounding it. It's just going to be like an outdoor because we have great weather. And, so you get the cheers and then you get we should give that money to the poor,
Right.
Like, you don't need a porch.
Right.
We give that to the poor,
Right. Right.
And it's like, and it reminds me, okay, I need to get back to the why. I need to get back to the why was that important? Why do we need connection points? Lobby's too small. Got to get people connected.
Yep.
But
there you go.
So then
that goes back to because we've had those comments before, but we're giving more money to missions and more outreach than we ever have before. But we spent, a little bit more resource on some of that because we did want to have a relational church. Yep. I think the patio at a church that's like, we just want you to come and exit. In fact, we hired a consultant and they're like, you got to get these people off campus.
Wow.
And it's like, well, we want them on campus.
Wow.
So we actually intentionally spent dollars to create.
Yeah. To keep them longer. A problem with the parking lot, problem with getting them off. That helps me. And so it's been shocking.
Right.
Because I went from, again, kind of back to the challenge thing. I went from the pushback of building a building.
Right.
Which was, why do we need to spend all this money? Jabin's just out for money. Jabin just wants our money. Jabin only celebrates the big gifts. All the pushback that you get. And it's all of that's like, what do we do? I thought we're helping people. Then you get in the building. And it's like, well, it's not like it was. And I don't feel as connected. And
right.
It's really big now. I don't see him as much. And where's the discipleship? Mm-hmm. So it is interesting how in every season there's a new challenge. Maybe that my encouragement to leaders watching is like every level has new devils, has new problems, has new challenges, has new. And I know that,
Right.
but it is wild to be in it because as the church gets bigger, in our case, those problems just get bigger, louder.
Right.
And it's like, all right, navigating that has been
I'll tell you my
interesting.
theory though. I mean, I say it's theory, but I've sort of tested it. I think the larger percentage of people though, you're a man of integrity, character, you're leading, y'all, I've watched and followed, like you don't really wake up one day and be like, we're going to be this, it's pretty much kind of the same
totally
thing.
Yeah.
You're getting better, but I think the majority of people are coming based on God's placed them there.
Yeah.
They're hearing that message. And I just think today it's actually a much smaller minority, but it's all kind of in how are we getting that information? What does that look, how do you recently talked a little bit, because I want to shift gears on that in fact as well, is how are we getting our inputs, right? So is this, there's 500 people emailed the church. Is it some friends connected to your wife and your family, so that made some proximity, so it makes it sound like there's more people? Was it literally they walked up to you in the foyer?
Right.
Because I'm going to say as what your stewarding grows, it becomes harder to go now.
Yeah.
What is it? I think we all ask that today with media, like is this real?
Yeah, is it real? Yeah.
Is this real? I mean, how do I, do you, I know some pastors were like doing surveys, in COVID, we're trying to get them, where are they?
Yeah, it's so funny. Our worship director, she sent out this survey to all the worship team.
Yeah.
And she got all this feedback. She was just devastated. And I go, your first problem, why'd you send out a survey? What were you thinking? I was just trying to connect with the team. And I said, girl, no, you know. So I do agree. And that's why I kind of go back to like, no, we've got to make our steps by faith, not by fear, not responding to, okay, someone said something about we need more classes, so we're going to do more class, or, we're going to do more whatever. You have to know, like, you got to go back to God, back to your gift, back to your grace. You were talking about this morning. Your session this morning was so unbelievable. And I don't know where my camera is, but you got to come to the leaders gathering in January, because it's like it's watching you in your grace zone. It's Michael Jordan. It's 1997, and we're in the United Center, and it's like that's your space. So like leaders need to come and watch you talk. But you were talking about that today, just like the guy. Well, when are you going to start teaching deeper? When are we going to do a line by line book study? It's like, oh man. I was pretty happy with my sermon until I walked out in the lobby. So you do have to get back to that place of faith. What am I called to do?
Yeah.
I'm not the church down the street. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
Right.
This is what we're doing. There's a people within this city called to us, and we're reaching them. And so
I love what you said. I mean, you have a conviction, you have a calling, you have a vision from God, and I think that's the only difference. Being a pastor for 30 years, and you, in so many ways, you have probably more instincts, more intuition, such a grace, connectivity, all of that. There's so much about, and I want to talk about this for a minute, because I'm going somewhere with, you did a podcast on social media comparison. We're talking about the nuance of the world we live in, because used to when you had this people you were leading, they had to do a phone tree, or they had to have a meeting, and now leaders, I don't think just pastors, I think school superintendents, teachers, business people are trying to go, how do I not stick my head in the sand and ignore, but how do I get real? How do I have a real in touch sense of where people are really at? And so only difference in, I think, me at my phase is, what really happens is you just become more comfortable and more who you are. And you're just like, well, this is, now I will say you from 34 to 40, something does happen. I believe when you cross 40, there's kind of a settling in, and then like a 50, and I'm not trying to put numerical ages, but I'm saying you do really just kind of, you're just like, I can't be something other than this.
Yeah,
Now I'm
yeah.
going to grow here and I'm going to grow there.
Yep.
And I think today people are just hungry for someone that'll just come out and go, well, this is who we are,
Right,
you know,
right,
like
right.
because they have so much ability to
Yeah.
engage in different. They're more people are more educated at some level
Yeah.
of the different viewpoints.
Yeah, yeah. And
right?
exposed, and your church is, and they come to you and go, hey, I was listening to this guy.
Oh
and,
yeah,
and you've got
100%.
I think that a lot of what helped me, especially over the last few years, is like finding a tribe, getting around a group of people on some level, whether it's, making it a point to come out here, go to, Louisiana in January, or, on and on and on. Getting around like-minded
Mm-hmm.
people, I think is so huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's finding, if you're a preacher, finding a few preachers
Right.
that really make your baby leap, right? That
Right,
John
right.
and Jesus moment where it's
Right.
like, so I'm not listening to 30 different preachers, but there's a few guys I
Right.
listen to that, man, they kind of help me, and it kind of
Yep.
wakes something up in me.
Mhm.
I think that has been huge. And then I think that the comparison thing, if you've got great friends and you're in a great tribe, it's going to be a lot harder to be insecure.
True.
When you're isolated, you're all by yourself. It's just you and your Instagram.
Right.
You're cooked. You're done.
It's true.
You're done.
It's true.
But if you've got a great crew, you can look at a guy and go, "Oh, that's great for him. That is not what we're doing." Or, "Man,
Yeah.
that guy's awesome." But
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
"Man, he's a great friend, but I'd probably never have him preach for me. But I
Yeah.
love him
Yeah.
because that's not what we're doing."
Right.
So I think I had to kind of settle into all that. And again, I am talking from a place of, I think now people don't even realize I sing or was a worship leader, and people kind of look at me as like a leader or a Bible teacher.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You got to I'm just a Pentecostal preacher artist. I've had to grow out of a lot of that
Right.
to emotionally handle.
Right.
And I don't feel like I'm being not true to who I am,
Right.
but I just had to grow out of some of that to kind of settle into
Yeah.
something that's sustainable.
God gives you grace for it. My son said something to me last week. He said, "You're the most rhythm-oriented person I know."
Wow.
Now, I'm not an artist, but I would probably be a little more spontaneous than people might look at me and think, okay, his responsibilities and stuff. But what happened is the stewardship
Yep.
of a family and a church and the call built. I just began to build over time, rhythms and things, and I just stay true to those because I want to steward to the best of my ability what God's put in front of me. It wouldn't be my natural nature though.
Wow.
I probably wouldn't go to bed at 4 with you,
Yeah.
but I probably wouldn't go to bed at 10. I'd be
right.
like, what's up?
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
hang
yeah.
out. I wouldn't. I'm gonna probably be a little more spontaneous.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be as systematic. I built so many organizational systematic rhythms to be good to my team,
Yep.
to be good for my wife, to be good for my family that wouldn't come natural to me.
So when you say rhythm, are you talking about decisions that make life more sustainable? Is that how you would?
Mm-hmm. So I think rhythm and balance. I talk a lot about rhythm and balance. When you talk about balance, you hear a lot of people falsely. The Bible talks about a false balance as an abomination.
Yeah,
I used to preach that because I like balance. I think good theology is kind of. I'm one of these people can see the extremes.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Today, though, the way you really get a following is be extreme.
It'd be extreme. That's right.
Okay, but the Bible actually isn't talking about balance. It's talking about unjust weights. It's actually talking about cheating people. But when you look at the Bible, to everything there's a season. So there's a rhythm. A balance is trying to achieve something that you could only temporarily succeed at. Like you can only stand on your foot for so long.
Wow.
Rhythm is cooperating with the season. So what do I mean? Like if you're getting a master's degree, there may be a difference in how you're living to fit that season of time.
Yeah.
But if your life continues to go on in that rhythm, and then if you're having a baby or if you're starting a church, but yeah, I see things one of my number one questions is what's your calendar or what's your week?
Yeah. Yep.
And I think I see things through a day. I see things through a week. I think some people get better at their week, but not a lot of people are good at their quarter. Or not a lot of good people are good at their 6 months. So there's one part of it that's weekly, but there's also a part of it that's creating some rhythms that are a part of. And so, yes, I think the coaching I've had, the mentors I've had, the pain I've had, the demand of being who God's called me to be caused me, like what you're saying probably wouldn't be my personality, but the call
totally
drew me to it. And what you really find is once you settle into it, you're like, I actually really like
no, it's actually great. It's actually more sustainable to do it that way. Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, I even had to do that with, guys will talk to me about like, man, how do you preach for 30 minutes? Well, it's like, well, because I got to do it 5 times.
Right.
So I don't have the luxury of going 48 minutes at this service. And
you can preach more than 30 tonight. Just let it rip.
Yes, Lord. But you know what I mean? Because in the weekly grind,
I
it's
totally
like,
got it. Yeah.
Nope. And I got to come back next week and do this again. And so I'm only going to give you 30 minutes of context. I need another sermon. So I think it's finding all of that is such a huge thing. Because
you are, I mean, I realize you're in your early 40s, but because you spent so much time in your 30s as what I think of it kind of like as a bridge leader, right? Because now you're hitting this phase and you're building a team and you're a dad. But I do think people listening to this podcast, I'm going to bring up, this is kind of the last track I want us to go on, and I want you just to unpack it because I was touching on it a little bit with social media and communication, but I think a lot of leaders out there are asking the question about the next generation, right? So there's all these generational questions. And of course you hear the people that are just negative, like they don't want to work and they're, blah, 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 it's like, I get a little bit like, cause I love all these young people we're training up and they like to sort of broad brush a generalization about everyone in an entire generation. But what do you think are some of the things that I'm sure you have a lot of younger leaders on your staff. Like, what are some of the uniquenesses with social media, technology, AI now? All the stuff that they're dealing. What are some things as leaders that we could do better to work with younger people?
Yeah, I think relationship is huge, and so figuring out what your relationship is going to be to your team and your staff and to you're going to have to, I think you do have to figure that out. Create, again, kind of back to rhythm, and it's got to be healthy for you. You got to be able to sustain it. But they need the same thing we needed when we were 20.
Right.
Now, they're a little different in that when I was 20, it's like, that's the man of God. And if you do something wrong, you're out of cover and God's going to kill you, right? So that's Elijah. So they don't have that.
Right.
They don't have that honor thing that, at least in Pentecost growing up, I had. But they do love you. They do want relationship. They do want to be around. So I think you have to kind of decide what that's going to look like. I even felt that this morning listening to you guys. I just thought, I need to embrace even more at 42 being the spiritual father of my church and of my staff. And I've got to get out of just team leader, and I've got to get more family just in my approach.
Yeah.
I think they need that. And then I think the other thing is just they're 20, so they're going to act 20.
Right.
They're 25, they're going to act 25. The same way we did. And I thank God when I was 25, I didn't have Instagram yet and TikTok yet. And oh my gosh.
I know.
I think I'd be in jail, or I don't know where I'd be. So thank God I was stupid, but at least it wasn't public.
Right.
So you've got to also give grace for the fact that they are living their entire life on their phone. They're exposed. They are going to say some dumb things, just like I would have if I would have had the platform to do it, but I just didn't have it yet. And so you're going to have to walk them through that. You're going to have to kind of walk them through the fact that they are living their private life publicly.
Right.
We didn't do that.
Right.
And we kind of, even my generation, or my age, even a little different than yours, but like, we're not living our life nearly as public as the 30-year-old and then the 20-year-old, right? You know what I mean? And so you've got to kind of give grace to that, and you've got to just be able to pastor them through that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got all these, 22-year-olds on the team, 25-year-olds on the team, and they are their age, and they're amazing, but I think it's a lot of time. I think it's a lot of conversation.
Right.
It's a lot of, hey, here's how I think.
Oh, yeah.
Let me, and so
I think that's we underestimate. You have to go back and communicate, because you kind of get in this phase of, I would say to a lot of team leaders, I know even for myself, the patience to over communicate. You got to go back and be willing to say it and say it again. And
man, that's taxing.
I thought we already had this, but it's like I think you have to have that grace to do it if you're going to raise young leaders.
I think that's the most taxing thing for my wife and I, because we were such self-starters and we were such like grinders. It's been shocking to us. It's like, oh, and I don't know if you've talked about this a lot, but they need a manager.
Yeah.
And I think, right, management was all the craze in the 70s and 80s, and then leadership took over.
Yeah.
And we stopped talking about management. I don't know where the balance is, but I'm actually even settling into, okay, there's actually a lot of people on my team, they're not leaders. That's okay.
That's okay.
They need to be managed. They're
we
doers.
Need some managers, yeah.
They're workers. Mm-hmm. They love God. They love people. Maybe even they're pastors.
Yeah.
But they're not leaders.
Yeah.
And Stephen Furtick told me that one time. I mean, a name drop, but he said, I was telling him, I'm working so hard every Tuesday to bring this leadership talk to my staff, and I'm drained. And he goes, why are you talking to your staff like they're leaders? And what he was saying is, he was like, you have leaders on your staff.
Right.
But you're trying to bring this leadership gold to doers and to people who need to be managed and people who love Jesus and love you, but they're not. So he's like, we manage some, we inspire some, we lead some become leaders, some are just great pastors who, I think you just have to kind of embrace that whole
so
ecosystem.
Having the right conversation in the right environment,
with the right guys,
and the right people, that makes sense.
And that's been I think good for me.
Yeah,
like I figured out there's some people on our team. I'm like, man, you're a great pastor.
Yeah,
you love people. You want to go to the hospital. You're on the phone.
You need those people. 100%.
You are a terrible leader. You can't and that's okay. And then it's like, man, that guy's got the gift of leadership on his life. We've got to work with him. And he's a little brash and he's a little cocky and he's a little, but we've got to work with him because he's got a leadership thing.
Yeah.
And then this person's a great manager. They love to just look at the entire system and execute. Doesn't necessarily mean they're a great leader.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of that lately. And then through all of that, communicate why, just the why over and over and over again, which I have found is really taxing for me, but it's just so important. You just got to do it. It's just part of being.
Well, man, what would you, I know this is because you have your own podcast, you do podcasts, but I don't know, sometimes I always just love to what's on your heart or what's a thought or something, that just you think would encourage a leader out there or give them, like if you kind of had what's the, in a message, we didn't even talk about preaching, but you're an amazing preacher, but it's really interesting. Sometimes part of the message comes and you don't have the other part. Yeah. It's like, okay, I got this passage, then I got this and I find sometimes it's like I need the inspiration. I need the thing that's going to really, that you walk away or catch with. What would you say to just the lead to win? I feel a responsibility just to give away what the deposit I have, right?
Yeah.
What would you What would you say is something that you'd be inspired to share with them or to give away or something we're giving away at Lead to Win? I don't know. You've been here for a day. What do you feel like we should give away more? That's another thought. Just,
Well, that's a whole other thing. I would say 100% people should, especially if you're a pastor, you should come to the event in January. Get around the grace that's on you. Because I think a lot of it can be communicated through books and podcasts. And that's why we do it and do resource. And I do it. But there's some about being in the room. And I'll even say this about you. I remember going, Stephen Furtick, who used to do a thing called Inside Elevation. I remember going, oh, I get it. Now I just saw you in your thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wasn't at Hillsong, he wasn't at whatever. He was in his ecosystem with his team. And I just remember going like, oh, I get you now. Oh, I know. This is you. This is your genius. And it unlocked something in me. I feel like that about all great leaders when they invite you into their space. You get to see them in you just kind of go like, oh yeah, this is okay. You're awesome, and I get to see you in the thing you've orchestrated. So I would say to people, they should come get around you because there's just part of it is like that grace impartation thing that just like you're like, oh, okay, no, I got something that's even beyond the letter or beyond the podcast. I would say to leaders though that they come to John in John 1 and they go, who are you? Are you Elijah? Are you a prophet? Are you the Messiah? Are you? And John starts with, I'm not. Not I am. I'm not. I'm not the Messiah. I'm not Elijah. I'm not a prophet. He said, but I am a voice. So he was able to figure out who he was not.
That's really good.
And who he was. And he was able to just kind of live in that. And I think, again,
that's a good word.
When you figure out who you are and who you're not, you can now invite the tribe, the family, the people, the city within the city that's called to you. I think even sometimes pastors end up building churches that work, but they're not even super happy in the thing because it's not even who they were.
Yeah.
So I would say my strength, whatever, is I'm pretty secure, and I'm pretty sure I know who I'm not.
Right.
I'm not Steve Robinson. I'm listening to him today, going, Jesus, you are so smart, and I'm not. I'm not Craig Rochelle. I'm not Jeff Little. I'm not. But I am. But I have a voice.
Right.
But I am a voice.
100%.
And I think when you settle into that, it doesn't mean you don't grow. It doesn't mean you don't get sharper.
100%.
Doesn't mean you don't grow your capacity. But it does mean like, no, I know what I do.
Right.
I know who I am. I know what I'm not. I know who I'm not. And I would just say, whether you're a real estate agent or a barista or a stay-at-home mom or a pastor or a youth pastor, you need to do the work of discovering that. And then what happens is this whole group of people find you.
Right.
So, we've got thousands of people coming to church, and I walk into that lobby every week, and I go, how'd you find us?
Right.
I go, we saw a clip, or a friend invited us, or
right.
we've been watching on YouTube,
Yeah.
or a friend saw you at Milestone in Keller, Texas, and told us we need to go to your church, whatever. And your people start to find you because you're in your thing. You're in your grace.
I love that.
And I just think preachers need to embrace that. Leaders need to embrace that.
Right.
Because it's a real bummer when you're kind of succeeding publicly, but I don't even mean failing like in sin but like you're just literally not happy. You're you're not fulfilled. And I can say right now, I love my life. I love my family. I love my church because I feel like I'm being true.
That's good.
To who I am and who I'm not. And
I think that's so good. It's incredibly freeing too, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think it's so freeing just to be like, this is how God made me. This is who I am. I think that is so powerful. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for carrying the torch and all of what God's doing. We celebrate that and excited about what God's going to do.
Yeah,
I mean, I think people out there, I say this, that there's certain places where in the body of Christ we should rally around, and I think that, anytime in the Seattle or you and I've been a part of what Steve Robinson, who you mentioned, is opening a campus in New Orleans, or places Vegas. There are these places where all of us should get excited, and so we're all cheering. We're praying for you. We're cheering you on and believing for great things. So
thank you.
God bless.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I want to say thank you for checking out this episode of the Lead to Win podcast. I want you to know that I love and my team loves getting this kind of content into your life so it can help you lead and win at what matters most. So I'd love for you to do me a favor, like, comment, especially subscribe if you would, so that we can make sure that we're able to get to you some of the things that are going to help you lead to win.